Today's episode of the BS Podcast is brought to you by SeatGeek, our presenting sponsor, the only fan-friendly app for buying and selling tickets for sports and music. With just 2 taps on your phone, you can instantly buy SeatGeek tickets to an event. You can have them delivered to your phone, and you can enter the event. Technology, it's amazing. Drop your old ticket app, use one that's built for 2016. Again, do everything on your phone. Download the free SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Today's episode also brought to you by our old friends at SimpliSafe. Hey, newsflash, burglaries skyrocket over the summer. That's why SimpliSafe created a phenomenal security package with entry sensors, motion sensors, and glass break, as well as everything else you need to stop burglars from getting into your home. Get $100 off that package by going to SimpliSafeBill.com. Don't forget to check out the tail end of Cleveland Week on TheRinger.com. A bunch of stories with Cleveland as the theme, including a great profile by Jordan Kahn about Tamir Rice's mother. We had Brian Curtis there all week reporting from the convention, and a whole bunch of other pieces, a few LeBron pieces. It's great. It turned out awesome. And don't forget to check out the 7 other podcast feeds on the Ringer Podcast Network, including Favreau and Pfeiffer on Keeping It 1600. They've been breaking down the 2 conventions all month. Democrats coming next week. And also, don't forget my new HBO show, Any Given Wednesday, returns on July 27th at 10 p.m. on HBO. Check out our new Splash page on HBO Now and HBO Go. That includes every episode and every bonus clip that we've done. It's that easy. Just go to one of those 2 places. Check them out. They're also on HBO On Demand, too, but the Splash page is cool. And as we add more extra stuff, it'll get cooler and cooler. Anyway, that's it. All right, big podcast, Ed. Let's go.
Yeah. Clear enough for you? All right.
It's been a while since we had this guy on. You know it's an emergency when we have Cousin Sal on during the summer. The Cuz, how are you?
What's happening? Good to be back, Sports-ish guy. What's going on?
Lots to discuss. Oh, by the way, we have JackO coming up way later for a moratorium on the Republican convention, as well as I think Brendan Lynch is coming as well, who is sorry, my phone's going off. We have JackO coming up later for a moratorium on the Republican convention, as well as Brendan Lynch, one of the writers of my show, who's going to talk about internet deep dives. With us, we haven't talked since we somehow screwed up an impossible bet to screw up in the NBA. And
yeah,
it made me think that we now have control over this presidential election, which I'm going to get to. But first, a recap of our NBA. We had a giant bet on the Warriors to win the title. We had the Spurs at 10-1. And somehow we just lost every single hedge that we possibly did. We had Oklahoma City. They were up 3-1 in round 3. We rightly panicked because they had a better team. Andre Iguodala even admitted it. Put a giant bet to hedge our Golden State bet. And then somehow Golden State prevailed, which was great because then they were going to win the title. They were up 2-0. We had a million ways to hedge it. No, didn't hedge that. Go to Game 7. Cavs are +6. A lot of texts about it. No, didn't hedge that one. Cavs win the title. It makes me think we should just bet on Trump to win the presidential election and use our powers maybe for a positive way. What do you think?
Can I just add to that mess that you just laid out for us? We had Buddy Hield Sooners over Villanova. They lost by 173 points.
Oh, yeah.
We had a hockey finalist parlay. Both teams lost in the first round.
Yeah.
I don't even remember who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We had San Antonio 10-1 odds before they signed Aldridge. That was great. Didn't hedge over OKC. Then we did bet Golden State with Ben Simmons getting drafted first. We did hedge OKC against Golden State, so we lost that, but didn't hedge, like you said, Golden State over Cleveland. I think we had a bet like Ben Simmons with anyone other than Cleveland to win the title. And any other year, anyone other than Cleveland, it shouldn't even be a bet. It's too easy. And,
we had a double hedge because we had that bet and we had the Warriors bet, and all we had to do is bet the Cavs +6 and we're golden. Hedging is just something that has haunted us forever. We've just never figured it out.
We should have taken the summer to take a clinic on. I don't know where they teach something like this, but we should have gone and twice we should have run it. And I steered you clear of Mark Hunt over Lesnar and Iceland over France in the Euro Cup. So
You did.
It's been bad. It's been bad.
You did. Oh, and you left out. We bet on Marco Rubio way back when to win the Republican convention, thinking that, well, nobody's voting for Ted Cruz. There's no way Donald Trump's going to win.
Yeah,
And,
I still like Rubio. I still like it.
Hey,
This can't be happening.
Jimmy's had the show since January 2003. How many times
Right.
has Trump been on?
Probably like 4 or 5.
At any point were you thinking, wow, that guy's going to be president someday?
No, and now he's plus 200. It could happen. Plus 200. It's so feasible. It's like the Phillies at home versus Madison Bumgarner. Like it could happen. It's easily could see this going down.
Plus
I don't believe
200.
this.
Plus 200 was what the Cavs money line was in Game 7 of the
Right.
2016 Finals, and they won. So I'm just throwing that out there
God.
as well.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Hey, I don't know what
Well-
hurts more, the fact that Donald Trump, who once fired our friend Adam Carolla on The Apprentice, is now one step away from being the president, or that Scott Baio, one of the icons of our childhood, is now being remembered in a totally different light. I just wanted to remember him for Happy Days, for his relationship with
Right.
the Fonz, for Charles in
Yes.
Charge and his relationship with Willie Ames, for all the great
Right.
moments on Battle of the Network Stars, like the unbelievable obstacle course against Gregory Harrison, which is one of the great sports moments of the 80s.
Yeah.
The Joni Loves Chachi 2-minute theme song, which is one of the funniest clips on the internet.
yeah.
These are
check it out.
all the things I wanted to remember about Scott Baio, and now I have him defending him standing in front of a Hillary Clinton poster that has the C word on it, and him
Yes.
not apologizing for that. I mean, it's unbelievable. What is happening?
The only saving grace is that maybe I leapfrog Chachi as America's most beloved cousin.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Italian
I don't
cousin,
know.
definitely.
Right.
Hey,
But
where do you
yeah,
rank in the cousins? You're up there now. Cousin It, cousin
Let me tell you something.
Chachi.
There was a crossword puzzle. There was a crossword puzzle last year, and it said TV's cousin blank, 3 letters, and it wasn't even me. It was cousin It. I get It has 3 letters. It's ITT.
What?
So yeah, cousin It is. It was. I was so excited. I was like, oh wow, people are sending me this. I'm like, I've arrived. It's
Yeah.
official. And no, cousin It from 60 years ago. It's still remembered.
Wow.
fondly.
I
More
don't know how
fondly
that
than me.
happened. I can't even imagine a scenario where that happened. I mean, the shows that we grew up with are so dated now. I was watching a Brady
Yeah.
Bunch episode, just randomly flipping channels, and it was the one where they're doing the driving test. And the entire premise of the episode is Greg and Marsha are arguing about male drivers and female drivers. And Greg and Mr. Brady are just like, come on, we all know females can't drive as well as males. And that it's literally the launching pad for the episode. It feels like it
I
came out
know.
700 years ago. It's great. But
Yeah.
so what do we do?
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this. So you're saying we bet Trump because then it'll lose.
I'm saying this is the ultimate hedge. I mean, sports
Right.
doesn't really matter ultimately. We love to think it matters, but really it doesn't. This is the
Right.
future of the country at stake, and
Yeah.
and we have a chance here to use our powers, maybe for good. The other one, Gary
Yeah.
Johnson, for some reason is like 150 to 1. I don't even know who that is. Who is Gary Johnson?
I was looking at that. I don't know what he stands for, but I love it. I think we should go with Gary Johnson.
Sprinkle some on Gary Johnson.
I was also thinking, like, what celebrity, because it would have to be a celebrity at this point, could step in as an independent and win this thing or come closest? Maybe this is a ringer.
Oh,
type,
that's a good one.
Article.
What celebrity could use? So, is Kevin Kline in the mix?
Kevin Kline?
Yeah, he's one of the best movie. He might be my favorite movie president. What if he was just like, look, I did this in a
see.
movie. Now I'm ready to do this for real.
That's not bad. I think he gets maybe 8 million votes, but you have to, like, so Bieber. Oh, Bieber's Canadian. That couldn't even. I was thinking like 10 million 18-year-old girls would vote for him and trickle down.
Well,
some
wouldn't
more,
the
but
answer
he's-
be? Wouldn't the answer be The Rock? Like he could harness his social media powers and probably get 30 million votes.
I did think The Rock, and his speeches would be second to none, and
Yeah.
that might be our answer. I mean, I had Will Smith, Taylor Swift, Leo. I know you like Damon over Leo, but
Yeah.
maybe The Rock. I think The Rock would be good.
I think it would have to be somebody who, it's basically The Rock or Kevin Hart or Ronaldo would be the three people who could use their social media powers for an election.
I don't know if
Ronaldo's
Ronaldo's
ineligible.
American enough.
Yeah, he's ineligible. But the other two, I think, are very eligible and could do it.
Yeah, I'd like to see someone step in.
All right, what realistic celebrity, though? Like, if Clooney said, you know what, I got to run,
well,
I don't think he could win.
Because Clooney, he would split votes with Hillary because he's been on the Democratic side so much.
Right.
I don't know if he could run as an independent, but I do think 4 years from now he could be the Democratic nominee. I mean, I think that's what we're looking at right now.
Well, if Clooney came out and gave a speech that along the lines of what Trump did last night at the convention, it's not like Trump had a plan for anything. He just said he was going to fix everything.
Right.
He listed a series of things that he's going to make better, but he never told us how or what the plan was to do that. I feel like George Clooney could do that. Could just come
plan.
out.
Right.
The one wild card, and he's just crazy enough to do it, is Mark Cuban.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He was pretty active on Twitter last night, and I had Chris Sacca on my podcast a while ago, 2-3 months ago, who had made a prediction that at some point Cuban was going to run for presidency. I think he predicted 2024, and then the fact that he predicted that became a story for a couple days, and then Cuban didn't really deny it, and kind of like the attention for it, and it seemed like it's something he's probably thought about. Now, if he just said right now, I'm going for it. It's up to me. I got to do this. I'll run as a third party, like leaning toward the Republican side. Yeah. I don't know what happens. I think everybody's afraid to run because they don't want to take votes away from Hillary.
Right. You get that whole, with Cuban, you get the whole, I'm funding my own campaign. I can't be bought. People seem to like that. You get that whole thing with Trump that he does. So, yeah, that could work. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. I feel like as a writer on a late-night comedy show, I already have a hedge with Trump because he provides a new gift to us every day. It's like the grandparents stop by every morning and shower us with presents. But I know what you're saying.
That is amazing. You guys, I mean, maybe we shouldn't be so glib about it because it is the future of the country at stake. But you guys have gotten a year of material from this.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being on the show, like even when Michael Jackson would do something crazy for like holding the baby out the window for like a week, we'd get material. We were so grateful that something like that happened. And you've had that for a year.
Yeah, it's great. I met Trump in December. He was on the show twice in the last year. He was on in December and I think in May or something. But in December, no Secret Service, nothing. He was one of 8 Republican nominees. Didn't matter. Everyone thought it would fall to by the wayside. And nobody wanted to meet him, so I was like, hey, I'll meet him. Me and 2 other writers, we went down there, and he came out immediately, and he's like, how many writers do you have? And I said, we have 13, 14 if we include you. He's like, oh, I do provide a lot of material. I was like, yeah, the most. That's all we're writing about all year long. But then when he was on in May, you couldn't even get to him. It was like,
wow.
First of all, there were protests outside our studio. So.
Is that true?
But... yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a mess. Like, I'm in JackO's camp usually. I usually vote Republican, but I can't have this much blood on my hands. Like, Trump doesn't listen to advisors. We already have enough bad guys who hate us. Trump will make people not looking for a fight, like the Chinese emperor hate us, and then Mexico will figure out how to make a nuclear weapon, and it's going to piss off too many neutral, otherwise harmless countries. It's not good.
Well, and especially for you, because you've had Jerry Jones running the Cowboys for the last 3 decades, and now to have Jerry Jones also running the country in the form of Donald Trump.
Right. Although, I hadn't thought of that.
Who would you rather have, Jerry Jones or Trump?
Oh, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe Jerry Jones will run. He's just crazy. He's another one who's just crazy enough to do it. A Jerry Jones Cuban combo.
He might be too young. I don't know what we're looking at.
It's not like Jerry Jones could do anything worse.
No. I don't know.
We just had to edit something out that would have gotten both of us in trouble, but mostly me.
That's good. We'll get 1,000 tweets. What was it about? What happened? What'd you say?
So we should mention, like, it's not like it's not like Hillary's a barrel of laughs here.
No.
It's not like she's the perfect candidate. And in fact, she has her own slew of holes that if she was running against anyone else would have just been picked apart. This is unbelievable. I said on a pod last week that I felt like this was the American equivalent of when we watch a team like the Browns with Delhomme and Seneca Wallace trying to figure out who the QB is going to be in training camp, and you just know you're headed for 3-13.
Interesting.
I've never felt that way with an election, and I feel that way this time. Right.
Well, yeah, this is how screwed up the Republican Party is. Like 8 years ago, the whole, the narrative was like, oh, Obama has no experience. He has no experience. So who do they put up against him? Sarah Palin. So she's one heartbeat away from being president. Okay,
yeah.
They screwed up. Now, this year, Hillary's unlikable. So what do they have? We have Donald Trump up against her. Like, no one can get their shit together.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to make money off of this?
Do you want to talk about baseball quickly?
Sure, yeah.
Your Mets.
Oh, you're happy about this one. You like this one. I know what you're going to say.
Your Mets. Great year last year. Feel good year. Awesome.
Right.
Young pitchers, young staff. Everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now how you feeling?
I don't like Cespedes' leg was bugging me. I think we're way back. If Familia blows 2 games, we're like 10 or 11 back. If he's anything less than stellar. And David Wright is obviously out. Harvey's fallen apart. We weren't able to trade him to anyone. Apparently, the rumors we heard about his drug use or whatever, who knows, still rumors, I'm saying. You and I heard about it, and the rest of the league did too. We weren't able to trade him away. So, I don't know. I think we're going to have to, at best, grab a wild card here and just enjoy Italian-American great catcher Mike Piazza's Hall of Fame induction. I think that's the best we could do at this point.
Yeah, it seems like you're like a game and a half back for the second wild card spot.
Right.
The Red Sox, I'm like shockingly optimistic about the Red Sox.
Really?
Yeah, their offense, this is probably the best offense we've ever had in my entire life. Mm-hmm. I think 2003, the year before we won the World Series, that offense was really great and hit for power and got on base and was just fantastic. And this offense actually might be better because it has speed. And as we're going into the dog days of summer here, like last night, they're just killing the Twins, and eventually you get into that deep bullpen where these guys are terrible coming out, and they're just getting like these extra 4-run innings they're throwing on in the 7th and 8th. Last night, Trevor May was in for the Twins. Poppy comes up, 8th inning. We're already up by like 9 runs. The whole crowd is chanting, "Poppy, Poppy." And he just crushes one in the right field. The pitching seems like it's worse than ever. And
it's pretty bad. You guys are up 6-1 every game in the 5th inning, and it's still like even odds whether or not you win. But I saw you jinxed and then try to reverse jinx Pomerantz the other day.
I know. Well, he's one of those guys. I don't know who the Mets equivalent of this, but these guys that you just watch them pitch, and it's just kind of fun the rhythm they have, and they got all these different pitches, and they just seem like they're in command, and especially when they have the awesome changeup. And it just was like, wow, this is great. This guy's going to be a great fit. And then the Red Sox had like this 50-minute inning. And he's just sitting there decomposing the dugout. He came out. He didn't get an out in the next inning. I think he'll be fine. The question for me...
They could win the division, but you know how it gets in October. The pitching needs to hold up. But maybe we should advise people of our division-winning parlay.
Oh, yeah, we did... We did this last week. The Red Sox to win the AL East, which was plus 180, with the Astros to win the AL West, which was plus 200. They're now 3.5 back. And
I think we got plus 750 on that.
Yeah, that was a pretty good bet. I really like this Astros team. They started out like 20-29 or something, and they probably have the most talent in the entire American League.
And Keuchel's had a bunch of no decisions in his last 6 starts or something. They're just better than the Rangers, who should fold. And Fielder's out now too, right?
It does feel, well, Fielder's out, which is actually probably a good thing for Texas because he's been in Albatross.
Yeah,
but,
that's true. That's true.
It does seem like offense is going to win the World Series this year.
Yep.
Usually it's like there was a little bit of a pitching and speed and defense kind of recipe. And this year it just seems like it's going to be bats. I don't know why. I keep looking ahead in like October with David Price as my number one starter. I like David Price more than the Red Sox. Some of the other Red Sox fans. I think he's fine. I think he's had some bad luck. I still enjoy watching him. But the thought of him in the Final Four as our number one starter, there's just every time we go against anyone else, other guy's probably going to be better than David Price. That's the only part that really scares me. And also, Ken Ortiz hold up a whole season at age 40. He's having the best statistical season I think he's had.
Has there ever been an example of this guy? You bet on him to slow down, and it just doesn't happen?
I know. And
I know he doesn't have to play the field or anything, but it really is spectacular the way he's keeping it going.
It's crazy. He's basically been pretty much around the same, other than in 2009 and 2010 he had a couple early swoons because I think his wrist was hurt. For the most part, the production's been pretty much the same the entire time he's been on the team.
Yeah,
and,
bizarre.
And he looks the same. It's not like he's gained weight. He's had the same weird body he's had the entire time. Anything else we want to talk about?
Listen, if we could parlay David Ortiz to win MVP and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to become our next president, I suggest we do it.
What'd you think of the WWE draft?
I didn't. My kids were talking to me about it. I didn't actually see a lot of it, but
it's
did you?
tremendous.
I know they split up some tag teams, right?
It was tremendous. There were some terrible picks. My son was way into it. He was exploding during some of the picks. Enzo and Cass went way too late. My son was upset about that. It was the first time he's been upset by somebody falling in a draft. All of it was great. It was great. He is so into Enzo and Cass.
The thing I don't like about it is 5 weeks from now, we need Cena to be on Raw, and then just everyone bleeds into the other one. And they don't say anything about it.
It's a good point. Yeah. Anything to plug?
But that's it. Jimmy Kimmel Live, 11:35, and that's it. Monday through Friday on ABC.
When are we gonna make the annual bet that we always win, which is the Patriots to win the AFC East? When do you want to do that?
So that went
do you want to pick a day?
Last year we had it at -140 before Brady's suspension was overturned, and that was very, very easy. And this year it was -200. I said, let's wait, maybe it'll go lower. It's -180 now. Maybe we do jump on it now.
It's -180?
I'm about 3/4 of the way through my research, and the Jets' schedule is miserable, and they don't even want to commit to a quarterback yet. I think the Patriots is the way to go. I know I don't have to convince you.
They've won 13 of the last 14 or something. 12 of the last 13.
Yeah.
And every year we stare at it and we decide what to do with it, and then it wins again. And FYI, I think Garoppolo is going to be half decent. All he has to do is be half decent. Just hold the fort.
Well, they could lose that first game by 2 touchdowns to Arizona, and then everyone could squawk about how miserable it's going to be. But they'll turn it on after that.
Let me flip that around for you. Are we sure Arizona isn't the team that's going to be absolutely terrible this year? I mean, the Palmer performance in the playoff game. How do we know he's even going to be passable?
Mm-hmm.
What if that was it? What if that's a Jake Delhomme type thing?
They made the biggest trade of the offseason, and I guess we're going to see immediately who paid off for.
Are you going to Oxnard to see the Cowboys?
I'm going to say we're away. I'm on the East Coast that first week, but I'm going to try to make it down there.
Roma.
Yeah.
Roma's optimistic.
We got a lot going on, Bill. We got a lot to think about. The Rock is president. Maybe we parlay with we're betting the Olympics for sure. That starts in a couple weeks. We got Usain Bolt on a few parlays. A lot of good things happening.
Maybe we just do the Pats to win the AFC East with Trump to win the presidency. we combine the two biggest scandals / polarizing things that are going on in America right now. Put them together.
I love it. Tom Brady's favorite candidate. It makes
All right,
sense.
cuz we'll come back in mid-August and tell America what we did. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
I miss you.
Good job by you,
Good job by you. All right, quickly, we send flowers on birthdays, Mother Days, certain holidays, and then the summer rolls around and we never think to do it. Well, guess what? the women in your life still love flowers. So surprise them right now. Send them gorgeous flowers from Books.com. Books flowers are grown at eco-friendly farms on the side of a volcano. Oh yeah, you heard me. That makes the blooms larger and the colors more vibrant. Books prices start at a mere $40. No upcharges, no extra fees. Delivery is absolutely free as soon as you register with the Books. Here's some great news. BS Podcast listeners get 20% off their bouquet of choice. So surprise someone in your life, send them summer flowers. Go to Books.com and our promo code BILL for 20% off. That is BOUQS.com. Promo code BILL. And while we're here, I'm going to talk about the 5-4 Club. Where else can you get hooked up with new clothes for just $60 a month? 5-4 Club has you covered. They'll provide styling advice and recommendations. They'll make you a styling profile. They'll deliver clothes to your door every month or so. 4 style profiles, classic, casual, forward mix, shorts, button-ups when you need them, jackets, jeans when it gets a little colder. Free shipping, direct delivery to your doorstep. Clothes come every month or so, and it's only $60 a month. Go to 54club.com. Use promo code BS at sign up. I'm actually wearing a 54club.com t-shirt that they sent me right now. Get 50% off your first package. That is FIVEFOUR club.com. And now back to the podcast. All right, it's time for a little levity before we get to JackO. Brendan Lynch, one of the writers on Any Given Wednesday, he was on this podcast before. He goes into internet deep dives, we call them. He does not sleep very much. The prime time of his internet surfing is usually in the 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. range, and he finds himself going down rabbit holes. The last time he was here, we found out that not only did he go down a rabbit hole of watching chiropractic correction videos, but then after he talked about that, people were tweeting at him about Japanese chiropractic adjustments, which then sent him on a separate deep dive. So now Brendan's here to talk about his latest batch of deep dives.
I've recently been getting into the German school
Of chiropractor?
Yes.
Adjustments? How does that differ than the Japanese school?
It's, as you would think, very stern. Lots of towels. Lots of towel work.
That's the thing with Germany. No matter what's going on, there has to be a lot of towels.
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, I get chiropractic videos sent to me, DM'd to me all the time, and yeah,
to you?
Yeah, people are DMing me chiropractic videos. I appreciate it, and there is a new one that I'd like to let people know about. Look up, I forget the gentleman's name. He's from Houston. I've watched his whole series. Look up just Ring Dinger chiropractic video. It's a guy who does these, he does this technique that no one else does where it's like full traction. But if you're into chiropractic videos, I suggest you look up Ring Dinger.
And as we learned last time, don't brag to Kevin Sorbo that you love chiropractic adjustment videos, because he's very passionate about this.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you got this time around?
Okay, this starting out, Martin Shkreli, his YouTube page, and granted, allegedly he did some stuff.
Yeah.
But he does these lessons on his YouTube page.
Okay.
He teaches, I was on it last night. He teaches these in-depth 2-hour-long chemistry lessons on acids and bases, chemical kinetics. They only have like 2,000 views. I have no idea who they're from. I don't know if he feels bad and he's trying to make up for it. He also teaches lessons on finance. Can
you remind people what Martin Shkreli allegedly did?
Martin Shkreli, I believe, he's known as the Pharma Bro, and he's the guy who is in charge of a pharmaceutical company, and he raised the prices on really important drugs for people who had, I believe, HIV. Allegedly, yeah. Okay. I have no idea what, but yeah. He's just sort of a weird. He's turned into a weird YouTube personality. Like he bought that Wu-Tang album where there was only one copy of it, and
he has the only Wu-Tang album copy.
He has the only copy of this Wu-Tang album, And
And now he's giving advice on YouTube for weird things.
Well, weird things, but it's fascinating. And as someone who like went to school as a teacher, the guy is a talented teacher.
Yeah.
He's really good at think alouds. Like, he's good at sort of talking about like, well, here's what some people would do. And, you know, this is what I would do. I have no idea what he's talking about, but the fact that he can talk to nobody for 2 hours about chemistry is absolutely fascinating. And
it sounds like somebody that could potentially lead a cult.
I think
Like somebody who would have been on 90210 for 5 episodes and gotten Kelly Taylor roped into some sort of cult that Brandon would have to save her.
I could see him, you know, if he wanted to get into acting, I could see him, you know, being on a show like that, because he definitely could be
like a 2 a.m. infomercial kind of career, maybe like Tom Vu.
Yeah,
You remember Tom Vu, right? Are you too young?
I think I'm too young. What did he do?
He's a real estate guy, infomercials. He would yell at people like if they wanted fancy cars and beautiful women, he'd be surrounded by fancy cars and beautiful women. And they'd be like, "Come take my seminar."
Oh, whoa!
Yeah,
no.
Can that be your next deep dive? Is
Tom Vu? Okay,
Tom Vu. I'll send you some Tom Vu.
There's this one guy. Do you go on World Star Hip Hop at all?
Come on, who are you talking to?
Well, do you know the guy who does he does like the infomercials on World Star Hip Hop about his private jet and his, you know, and he hangs out with rappers.
Yeah.
Like that guy. I don't know I don't even know what he's selling, if it's real estate, stocks. I have no idea what his hustle
Gambling
is.
picks.
Yeah. I have absolutely zero, but it's just all like, here's me hanging out with Redman. Here's my jet. And it's always the shot of him walking down to the mailbox and opening up big checks.
Maybe we should film one of those for the show, because I could use the pictures of me with celebrities that we've had on the show.
Oh,
here's me with Aaron Rodgers.
That would be.
Here's me with billionaire Mark Cuban.
Yeah, no, I mean we have some good. You would have some good ones.
Good celebrity pictures. All right, what other deep dives do you have?
Well, you sent me the deep dive of the matches that turn into fights.
Wrestling shoots.
I
knew you would go down the rabbit hole with that. Like the famous one was Antonio Inoki and the fat guy whose name I can't remember. The Great Antonio.
Great Antonio.
And the Great Antonio stopped selling Antonio Inoki and then hit him really hard with an elbow. And Inoki did not like it and just beat the living hell out of him. And they were not wrestling. It's amazing, right? It's one of the best clips on YouTube.
I've watched it once a week. It's fantastic. I found some other ones the one you sent me a really comprehensive list of like the great ones.
I got most of those from David Shoemaker from The Ringer, who's a wrestling shoot historian.
Oh wow, that's a masked man.
The
approved.
Lex Luger, Bruiser Brody. There's some good ones.
The one that I found that I really liked was Hardcore Holly, when he came into, remember when they had that reality show called Tough Enough?
Yeah.
And he came on, and I guess he was an instructor the year before, and he came on and he just picked this guy. The YouTube video doesn't say what his name is. He's a contestant, and he beats the crap out of him. And since the guy's on the show, he can't really do anything, and he's learning how to wrestle.
Yeah.
But look up Hardcore Holly Tough Enough. Was
he doing it to prove a point, or did the guy insult him in some way?
Just to prove a point.
That's why he was so hardcore.
Yeah. Hardcore Holly, I am obsessed with. Like his shoot interviews, because he's just this like angry guy from North Carolina or wherever.
Yeah.
And you know, I grew up watching him. Not the greatest wrestler, but like
no. He's a veteran worker.
Super into like the ethics of wrestling, like what's right and wrong and how to work the business. But look up Hardcore Holly. I mean, he's and then after that, because you go on a YouTube deep dive, and then you start getting into other offshoots of it.
Yeah.
Like then I watched, because Al Snow was the coach that season. Then I watched a bunch of interviews where Al Snow talked about what happened and how he didn't agree with what Hardcore Holly did.
Oh.
So it's like that's
some philosophical differences.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about YouTube is that you start out and then you get into people talking about what happened, and then you get into people responding to that, and then also I started the Great Sasuke versus the Dirt Bike Kid. That was another great. It's a Japanese match.
It's a wrestling shoot.
Great wrestling shoot. Lots of kicks.
Yeah. When they get mad, they start kicking in the Japanese shoots.
Yeah, because
they just take out somebody's legs, knock them down, then they beat them up.
Yeah, just kicks on the ground. And Dirt Bike Kid, weird gimmick. He looks to be like I'm always fascinated with like Americans who go abroad and are really famous there. I've never heard of Dirt Bike Kid in the United States. He looks to be American, and he's dressed like a dirt biker.
Well, he's the Dirt Bike Kid.
That's just it's a strange gimmick because I mean I don't know.
Maybe he was inspired by Kelly Leak and Bad News Bears Go to Japan. Maybe you saw the success that happened. I don't know.
But those are and then my third one that
third shoot deep dive.
This one's really sad. You probably saw this one, left it off the list, which is Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Doink the Clown in like a high school gymnasium.
Oh, I don't know about this one.
Whew, this one.
What happens?
They don't actually fight. They're just they're just screaming at each other and they're throwing punches. They're both 50 pounds overweight.
Oh no.
The crowd is maybe. I think I've seen ringer meetings with more people. Doink the Clown, his makeup looks like he put it on with no mirror.
So this is like the wrestler with Mickey Rourke of wrestling shoots.
Exactly. But they're screaming at each other and they're going. The interesting thing is like eye poke, like they're doing the scissor, the V.
Yeah.
And instead of throwing punches, they're throwing like eye pokes. It seems like a weird.
Wow. A lot of bad blood between Hacksaw and Doink.
And then this one, keeping on the wrestling theme, look up WWE Championship Belt Shaving Cream Trick. So these wrestling fans, they get these WWE replica belts, and they don't like the fact that when you put it doesn't go, like the flap doesn't go over the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of
like with a real belt.
Yeah, like with a real belt. So they do this thing where they get the belt, they get the replica belt, they take off the screws, and then they put shaving cream, and they spend like 3 hours with a hairdryer getting the shaving cream to seep in.
For what reason?
So that the flap goes over, just so that they can have the belt go over their shoulder, like so that the fake leather.
And these are grown men?
These are grown men. And there's one that everyone, if this at all interests you, and it should, his name is Katalution, Katalution. It's WWE shaving championship belt shaving cream trick. This guy, I'm obsessed with him. And he's so detail oriented, and it's over something that I could care less about. I mean, if you have a belt, cool, but like to then do modifications.
I'm debating whether to tell my son about this because he's like the 8-year-old internet deep dives, and this could ruin his life for a weekend watching this. Hey, last time you were on, you talked about how you went on the OJ tour.
Yeah.
It inspired my wife to go on the OJ tour with a friend.
Oh, wow.
On a Sunday night. And she came home and she was all boozed up, and I don't know what the hell happens on these OJ tours. I don't know if they snuck wine in or what happened, but she was both disappointed and enthralled, which I think is what everyone's reaction is after they do the OJ tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you go home from an OJ tour, I think you look in the mirror and you say, like, did I really just go on an OJ? Did I really just, say, oh, wow, this is where OJ probably parked?
Yeah.
Because they show that. Yeah. So
that's probably why she got boozed up. It's a lot of looking in the mirror afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fascinated with anything. Like, I don't know if I mentioned this last. I mean, I went to the parking lot where from Serial, the Best Buy parking lot.
You didn't mention that last time.
Yeah, I
did.
Yeah,
Where is it?
It's in Maryland, and
You live in California.
I know. I was in Maryland, and it was a 2-hour drive from where I was, but I was like, I have to go, and my wife was like, we're not going to that, and I was like, no, we're going. And I'm walking around, and there was a security guard, and he saw me, and he knew exactly what I was. He was just like, "Oh God, another weird white guy trying to crack
between
the case."
30 and 50.
Yeah, like, and I was even like, "Let's throw Serial on. Let's maybe we can pick up some." I was talking to Taryn, who works in the office. Like, I mean, my dream is to crack a case.
Yeah.
You know, like I would love to solve a mystery, and
An unsolvable mystery.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal. That's on my. I mean, I don't believe in bucket lists, but if I did, cracking a murder case out of nowhere. I also just want. I want to do it on my own. I want to find. You know, I wish I would just go into that parking lot. Oh my God, it's Jay's business card, or you know, whatever. Yeah. And then.
Aren't there some old California like semi-serial killer cases from the 70s and 80s that are still open?
Well,
there were a couple.
Well, there's a lot of people who theorize on the Zodiac killer.
That one has never been solved.
Yeah.
It ended up being a really weird David Fincher movie that I still don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'll put that movie on, and yeah, that's just a lot of mustaches and sideburns and
Jake Gyllenhaal is playing the same kind of like slightly brain damaged character he plays in Southpaw. Mm-hmm. I'm not positive why he went that route.
Yeah, you're right. You'd think a guy who drew cartoons for would be a little bit more with it.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah, the Zodiac's a good one. Most of the serial killer things have been. Did you read the Bill James book about serial killers?
No, I haven't.
Oh no!
Are
you serious?
I need to.
Oh my God! You'd read that in like 3 hours. It's incredible. He spent like 10 years working on it.
I'm a huge serial killer guy, but it's when you tell people that and you're like sort of. I mean, people don't know me, but like, you know, I have a weird energy. Like, it's a little aloof, and, you know, I'm not like gregarious like I'd like to be. But when you tell people, oh, I'm really into serial killers, then people are just like, oh, he is a serial killer.
Right.
And, but an interesting thing, the town I grew up in it's the only town ever that had 2 serial killers going at the same time.
Chico?
No, Santa Cruz, California.
Oh, Santa Cruz. Yeah.
And they actually...
You had 2 different serial killers?
In the 70s.
Competitive serial killers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my mom was like going to college, and both of them were like picking up women hitchhikers, and she was hitchhiking during that time. And I asked her, I said, you know, there's 2 active serial killers, and she said, well, you know, in the 70s, you know, that's what people did. They hitchhiked. And
right.
I was like,
you buck the odds.
Yeah. But they arrested them both, and they put them both in like the county jail, and they talked to each other, the 2 serial killers. And they said, one of the guys mentioned, oh, you took all my good places for body dumping.
Oh yeah, that gets weird.
Yeah. So, but
I can see how that would have bothered him.
But that's the only time that's ever happened. And then
you missed it. See, the 70s, all of a sudden they tried to build in through the media this big fear of hitchhiking, because like my dad went to college at Holy Cross, where I went in Worcester, and every weekend, because he was going to an all-male school, he would hitchhike from Worcester to Boston, because that's where all the colleges with the girls were. And then he met my mom at Boston College, and then they would hitchhike back and forth to see each other. And then right around 1974, 75, all the psychos were like, wow, what a great way to kill people. I'll just pick up hitchhikers. And then there was this like 4-year run of just hitchhikers just getting, you know, wiped out before everybody was like, so all that, the reason I'm saying this is I was like 8. ABC had, maybe I was 9. ABC had a TV movie called Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker with Charlene Tilton from Dallas. and it was about this guy in a van who was just wiping out hitchhikers, and it was one of the 3 scariest movies of my childhood. And I left the movie like, I will never hitchhike ever in my life. Nobody will ever get me to do this.
You never did it?
No.
Yeah, it's always strange. Like when I go home in Santa Cruz, sometimes there's a guy doing it, or like two, and I always wonder, like, I always just want to pick. I've never picked one up. I've always just thought, like,
maybe that could be one of your deep dives, is just start picking up hitchhikers.
That would make a great podcast where you just pick up a hitchhiker and then you just, record them for wherever they want to go, and just
like
hear
comedians getting in cars with coffee. It's just hitchhikers.
Yeah, it's the saddest version of that. Comedians picking up hitchhikers in Honda Civics.
Well, you're a comedian, so it's technically. Well, I think we just created a new YouTube series.
Yeah.
I just want to defend your comment about how you're a serial killer guy, because I am too.
Yeah.
I love reading about serial killers and how they caught them, and I like watching documentaries about it. And I've even said to people, like, I thought the most interesting serial killer for me was Ted Bundy. Like, just the start to finish of the Ted Bundy arc is because he actually, first of all, he represented himself, and then second, he escaped. And when he escaped, it wasn't like he disappeared. I mean, this is terrible, but he escaped and was like, I'm out. I get to kill some more people, and just immediately went on another spree, and they caught him again. They'd never made the right Ted Bundy movie.
Really?
Mark Harmon was in one called The Deliberate Stranger. Did you see that one?
No, I got to see that.
It's good. It's 2 parts. He was handsome like Ted Bundy was, and it's creepy, but it doesn't go there. Like, for me, it's like, instead of Zodiac, I would have made a Ted Bundy movie. I just think I thought he brought more to the table as a serial killer.
Did you see the HBO documentary on the Grim Sleeper?
I've seen all the HBO documentaries they've ever done about serial killers or autopsies.
That one, Tales from the Grim Sleeper, the Nick Denton one about the serial killer in South Central, is absolutely fascinating. And to me, it's like a great companion piece for if you hold it up with the Netflix, the
Making a Murder.
There's a lot of similarities between those two guys. They both lived on like junkyards. They both they were both like involved with like a boy as an accomplice, allegedly. But yeah, no, I absolutely, I mean, I would be down for a Ted Bundy movie. I don't know. Ted Bundy's the clown, right?
No.
Who is
Ted Bundy was the law student who would pick up female hitchhikers, and he didn't seem like a serial killer, which was kind of his move.
He used a gun, right?
I forget what he did.
Yeah,
I think he did all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
By the way, not a great guy. I don't mean to glorify Ted Bundy in any way. Bad guy. Bad person.
No, totally.
It's just, he was, most of the serial killers follow a certain prototype, and he's like just outside. He's operating in a different playing field with the stuff he did. Most of them are like just creepy white loners.
Yeah,
is the move for them.
It's a weird thing, because it's like, I think it's sort of like the Martin Shkreli like YouTube page, and like a lot of times I'll get interested in something and people will think, a lot of people, if they get interested in something, they have to they like it.
Yeah.
I don't like these things, but sometimes I'm just fascinated by it.
No, it's the mystery of it, about the arc of them trying to catch this person who's doing really terrible things. And then most of the serial killers, at some point, they're not just satisfied by the killing part. It becomes like them taunting the police or the general public. They feel like they have to do something. Mm-hmm. It can't just be the killing. And the ones that, like the Zodiac guy, part of the charm for him was to send these weird, crazy letters to the police. But there's not a lot out there that just are like, I'm good with the murders.
Yeah,
that's it. I don't need any of the glory of what I'm doing. The murders are what gets me going. There's this extra part that they like, and that's usually what brings it down.
Yeah. You know, it's a big city for a serial killer, Sacramento.
Not surprised.
They've had like a real long history.
Seattle's another one.
Yeah.
Rain.
Boston had the Boston Strangler.
Yes.
That's their signature person who have they ever
Boston people are too scary to try out for a serial killer. They would take it too personally.
that would be a hard place.
It's a hard place. Yeah, you want to go like somewhere outside the East Coast, I think.
Yeah, Seattle people are depressed.
It's
and,
raining all the time. Yeah, they're listening to Soundgarden. Hey, we have to go.
Okay.
All right. So next time, next like a few weeks from now, work on some new deep dives. But can you read the Bill James book?
I will read it.
Please?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to have a whole serial killers conversation with you.
It would be my pleasure.
Because I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm so glad I have somebody else in my life who has... But the fact that you haven't read the Bill James book is unbelievable to me.
I mean, like I said,
that's just crazy.
I also don't want to get like divorced. Like if I
right, that's a good point. Fair point.
I have to take the dust jacket off of that, and
especially after you want a Bang Bro story. Like it's the fact that you're still married now. You should probably enjoy it. Brendan Lynch, where can we follow you on Twitter?
At Brendanzig, BRENDANZIG.
All right, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Quick break to talk about our old friends at MeUndies. They were one of our first sponsors. I remember they sent me a box of comfortable underwear, and I've been wearing it ever since because nobody ever changes their underwear unless they have a real impetus to do so. Well, here's your impetus. Every pair of MeUndies is made from sustainably sourced modal, a fabric that's twice as soft as cotton. Once you try on MeUndies, you'll understand why it has the rep as the world's most comfortable underwear. They have dozens of styles and limited edition prints to help you make a statement with your underwear, boxers, trunks, thongs, bikinis. You name it. They even have lounge pants that I've spent many an hour lounging in the privacy of my own home. Lounge pants. Shipping is free in the U.S. and Canada. You could save up to $8 per pair with the MeUndies subscription plan. And if you don't like your first pair of MeUndies, guess what? They're free. Go to MeUndies.com/BS for 20% off your first order plus free shipping. That's MeUndies.com/BS. And now, JackO. All right, from serial killers back to the 2016 Republican convention. JackO was on earlier in the week. We just talked, you missed it, but we talked serial killers with Brendan Lynch, a writer from my show. So now let's...
excellent. Okay.
Seems like
it's not that far of a segue to the 2016 election.
Not that far of a segue. I was worried about you last night on Twitter. I really thought something terrible was going to happen, and I was going to have to defend you publicly today, like almost like Robert Kardashian. During during that post OJ Nicole, where I'm going to stand by my friend, but I'm deeply troubled. I know something terrible just happened, but he's still my friend. Damn it! But it didn't happen. So thanks for saving me from that.
No problem. I didn't want you to have to drive down the freeway in a white Bronco. This is BS. You know who this is.
I would have. I totally would have for you, JackO.
I appreciate that.
So what were your impressions after last night?
Well, I watched a lot more of it than I ever expected to, and part of the reason for that was I was flipping the channels, and I must have come across one of the channels, obviously, that was showing the convention, and I'm like, is that Fran Tarkenton? And I put it on, and sure enough, it was Fran Tarkenton, of all people, addressing the convention on the final night of which you would think you would save like your best speakers for or highest profile names, and somehow Fran Tarkenton got the invite there.
Yeah.
So I pretty much watched all of it from that point on. So I watched him, and then they had Peter Thiel, who was the guy that founded PayPal, and he's not a very good speaker, but he was fine, I guess. And then they had Trump's buddy, who's some other billionaire real estate investor, real estate mogul or whatever, this bald guy, and he took the mic and he did the walk around, which I knew was going to be a mess, and it was. He had no teleprompter, and it was just like stream of consciousness about Trump, and basically it was like he was trying to sell me something. It was like a Wolf of Wall Street deal. I
thought it was like more of a best man speech.
Yeah, well, that's a good. Yeah, there you go. It was kind of like that.
Let me tell you something about Donald.
Right. And it had like no theme. I guess it was trying to humanize Trump to show that he's not a complete lunatic.
That's what best man speeches are.
What's that?
That's the same philosophy of a best man speech.
That's exactly
You're trying to prove to
right,
the public that the person's not a lunatic.
Right. So it was like allegedly trying to humanize Trump, and his one anecdote basically, or one of his anecdotes, the main one was, he flew with Trump in a helicopter, and they went to go see some Tyson fight. I forget if it was in Vegas or Atlantic City, and he signed a program for the doorman. I was like, boy, what a guy, what a charitable fellow, It was so great. And then they had Ivanka. She's very lovely and well spoken. I liked how the wind was blowing her hair. That was a nice touch, like she was shooting a cover shoot for Vogue or something, while giving the speech. And then being a glutton for punishment or a masochist or something, I stuck it out for old Big Don's hour-and-a-half rant where he was just screaming and red-faced and
sweaty.
I literally turned, as I said on Twitter, I turned down the TV volume like 3 different times, and he only seemed to get louder.
Yeah. Yeah,
it is weird when you meet him. And the heavy breathing.
Yeah, and he got super sweaty.
Yeah, maybe that's where the country is. Maybe the country is angry and like a Howard Beale deal. We're mad as hell. We're not gonna take it anymore. We're gonna take it all back. And I can't really see that ranting, screaming appealing to traditional swing voters of suburban women outside of Philadelphia, or outside in some places in Ohio, or the people that decide these elections. I just can't see that really appealing to people that he needs to appeal to. It already appeals to his base, which got him the nomination. So kudos to him. But I'm not sure that does anything for him in the general election.
It's interesting to hear somebody talk about everything they're going to fix.
Yeah.
But he just listed everything and then how he was going to fix it. That was the speech for an hour. I'm going to fix this.
And it wasn't even really he was going to fix it. It's just I'm Trump and I can fix.
Right.
And so to go along with that, to buy into that, you have to think that he's this wonderful fixer. And they had this wonderful glossy video like they always have last night. And
yeah.
I was thinking to myself, it would be nice if maybe somebody giving a testimonial to him either wasn't on his payroll or a blood relative of his. But be that as it may. And so everything was like all these wonderful successes, and he rebuilt New York and Manhattan and the ice rink and yada yada. How about Atlantic City? How about the Taj Mahal where you went bankrupt 4 different times in the casino business? How about Trump steak and Trump vodka and any other of the myriad failures that he's had?
USFL.
The USFL, which he personally is like single-handedly responsible for destroying, right?
Yeah. Now he's had a lot of success.
The guy has failed and failed and failed, and his success, such as it is because he became fodder for the tabloids in New York, and he became a big name, and he was able to market his name. So he slaps his name on these, hotels and golf courses, and I guess that appeals to the same people that vote for him, or has some appeal that people want to go to a Trump property. But those aren't in any way really his success. His success is being, fodder for the tabloids with affairs and being a celebrity and having some half-assed TV show. This notion that he's this wonderful thinker and builder and doer. I mean, give me a freaking break.
I think what's interesting is his plan was just to talk in big generalizations about everything he was going to fix. But really the theme of the week was Hillary sucks, don't vote for Hillary.
Right. Well, because the only thing he has going in the party and all these people that come out Stepford wives are making a hostage video and saying, you must vote for Trump because Hillary's awful or because of the Supreme Court. But there's never an affirmative case for Trump because anybody with half a brain can't make an affirmative case for Trump. So if you're a Republican and you have decided to basically castrate yourself and pledge fealty to Trump, the only reasons that you can give in response to reporters' questions, you disagree with Trump on this, 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 and this. He said this, this, and this. And he's not Hillary. We got to beat Hillary, Supreme Court.
Right.
Which is another enormous leap of faith because you're assuming Trump, who's donated to Hillary, has been basically a lifelong Democrat. He's flipped parties back and forth for the past 30 years. You're really taking a massive leap of faith that he's really a Republican now, and he's going to appoint somebody to the Supreme Court who you find acceptable, which is at best a 50-50 proposition.
And yet, Michael Moore said on Maher's show 2 days ago that he thought Trump was going to win the whole thing.
I mean, Michael Moore I'm sure he was for Bernie Sanders, and Hillary's not left enough for him. So part of that is probably
strategic.
Well, What's that?
Probably a little strategic by him.
I think so. And just to say, Hillary's too corporate and too Wall Street, and he and maybe other others on the far left, the Democratic Party, he's alleging they're going to stay home and Trump could sneak in through celebrity. But I mean, Trump has basically no money, no campaign money. And I don't, he keeps pledging I'm going to, he waived $47 million in loans, basically for aircraft fuel, I think, because he's using his own plane to fly all over the place.
Right.
So he did loan $47 million. But I mean, if you look in terms of the TV ads, Hillary was outspending him something like literally $20 million to nothing last month in swing state advertising. And he seems to have this theory that he's just such a celebrity that he can just like go on Fox News and have these occasional rants and press conferences, and that's all like the publicity he needs. Meanwhile, Hillary is able to craft her message in the way that she wants, present herself in the best light through commercials and messaging and everything else, all the traditional aspects of a campaign. So I don't know how he wins by ranting to the same thing that attracted his base, having no money or campaign infrastructure. But I guess stranger things have happened.
And you left out, like, if you're going to take him at face value of what he said in the speech last night, if you ignore how crazy he looked and all that stuff. And he's basically like, I'm Donald Trump. I know how to appoint the best people.
Yeah.
I'm going to find this and we're going to fix this. I'm going to get the best people for that. And it's
Right.
like, well, we've just watched you run one of the most crazy campaigns that's ever run, and people are quitting. And you have the First Lady's speech was picked a portion from the last First Lady's speech.
Right.
And you had all these
I'm
things
gonna
that
hire
don't.
the best people.
Yeah, for all of the indications for the last 9 months are you have no idea how to hire the best people.
Right, and he hires the Corey Lewandowskis of the world, and all this backbiting and infighting. He hires, he's responsible ultimately, right? He's the guy with his, he's behind the desk. He's making all the decisions. He hires speechwriters that openly plagiarize from Michelle Obama's speech in 2008 and figure nobody's going to figure that out. He hires people who vet Ted Cruz's speech and let Ted Cruz go on the stage and give a speech that is not an explicit endorsement of the candidate. These are his best people. Like, if these are the best people, and it should be easy to hire people for a campaign, and that he's going to hire, cabinet level officials or, government functionaries or generals, and they're going to be the best ones. Come on.
I realized what was going on last night because when he brought his family out at the end, I somehow didn't even know that Trump had a 10-year-old son. When they brought him out, he's exactly the same age as Damien Omen. And I think that's where this is the real life Damien Omen. It's happening. We don't realize we're all filming the next Damien Omen movie, and this is what Damien's last revenge was. No, I'm kidding. I don't mean to make fun of 10-year-olds.
Baron Trump.
It did make me think like it would be a great Damien Omen plot, right, for the next movie.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I think this was a Damien Omen plot. Isn't this Damien Omen 3?
There is one where he runs for president or becomes
with
president
Sam Neill.
right?
I think maybe that's maybe Trump's Sam Neill.
Well, the amazing thing is today Trump came out. So everybody last night was like, okay, Trump gave a serviceable speech, I guess, and trying to put the best light on it, and maybe it'll sell to people, and maybe people are angry, and maybe they'll go for it. And this is the big pivot to being people can envision him being the president. And then today he comes out and gives a press conference, and he relitigates the whole Ted Cruz's father was involved in JFK's assassination. I mean, you can't make it up. Poor Mike Pence is standing there with the Chris Christie bemused, shocked look on his face, like wondering if the American flag behind him is strong enough to hang himself with. It's just unbelievable.
Mike Pence literally looks like a crash test dummy at this point. They should just put the crash test dummy helmet on him, and he could just sit there like an actual dummy.
It's not going to get any better for him because Trump will say some complete lunacy every other day. And they're going to go to Mike Pence and say, "Do you think Ted Cruz's father was involved in the JFK assassination?"
You can't say he wasn't.
Yeah, right.
Prove to me he wasn't.
Right.
What'd you think of what Ted Cruz did? Intriguing power play on Wednesday night.
I actually loved it. I didn't watch it, but I was reading it on Twitter. And, all these guys that ran against him, like the guys I liked best, Rubio and Walker, who I had hopes for, and they both rolled over like dogs. Just so depressed me. no principle, no backbone whatsoever. And guys I didn't really like Jeb Bush and John Kasich, actually showed backbone and wouldn't kiss his ring and wouldn't kneel to him, which was fantastic. And then they're like, well, Cruz is gonna, Cruz was playing a game the whole time, because last year in the fall he was trying to cozy up to Trump, and he figured eventually Trump will be seen as the buffoon that he is, and if I don't explicitly bash him, I will inherit his voters. So he was trying to be cute and rub up against Trump to a degree to get his voters. And then, then as things got ugly and Trump was still viable, Cruz turned against him, and then it got, into a blood feud between them. So when I saw Cruz was going to speak at the convention, you always figure if the guy's going to speak at the convention, here's where he kneels and kisses Trump's ring. No. And instead he got up, and what was crazy is all he said was, vote your conscience.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't say vote Trump, but he also didn't say don't vote for Trump. He's like, vote your conscience, and if you believe in the Constitution and, constitutional conservatism, liberty, limited government, etc., vote who you think is right. And the Trump people knew that was not their guy, and they started to boo him. I think this guy Paul Manafort, who's Trump's campaign manager now, whipped them up to boo him, and so it turned into a thing that they could have just said, they could have just gone along and play and clap politely, and instead they whip up everybody to boo, and it becomes a huge story. It's another way Trump hires the best people who explicitly turn a small thing and a small brush fire into a forest fire. So then it became a huge thing, and then now Cruz is a hero because he's standing on principle, and just when this thing implodes November 9th, he's going to be one of the few guys left standing that said, hey, I didn't have the stink of Trump all over me.
Yeah, it was very smart. Yeah, it's really the move that all of these guys should have made. Because
see, his bet is that Trump loses big.
Yeah.
And after Trump, that there's no more Trumpism. That the party was like, we went crazy, and now we want to forget that ever happened.
Yeah, let's heal.
And let's just move forward. And then Cruz will be like, hey, I'm your guy. I don't have the stink of Trumpism on me. Even though to a degree he does, because he played footsie with him for a while. But in the end, he did the right thing. So.
Meanwhile, Chris Christie has the stink, I think. There's
he literally has the stink on him, yes.
Heavy stench.
Yes, guys like Christie and Newt Gingrich and these other people that are just disgust me.
So, in fairness, next week is the Democratic convention.
Yes.
And I think you should come on next Friday and give your take on that.
All right.
Isn't that fair?
I'll force myself to watch that one. If I made it through this one, I can make it through that one because, I don't have any love invested in that one. So.
I'm excited for Hillary Clinton to talk like this. And in the future.
It's always been a criticism that she has a tendency to scream and be a little screechy. But when Trump is up there screaming for an hour and a half, literally at top decibel, then that's yet one more argument against her that he's taken away. Not that it's really an argument. You don't want to hear her for 4 years, but you don't want to hear him for 4 years either.
Would you take?
And all she has to do is say, "Look, I'm not the devil.
Yeah.
I was portrayed as the devil last week. Look at me. I'm not the devil. Here's my grandchild, and I'm a sane person. I'm a crook, but I'm sane." And people might be like, "Yeah, it's tough times, but do we really trust this lunatic with his finger on the nuclear trigger?"
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for it.
God help us.
I'm excited for next week. You're right. It can't be much different than what Trump did.
It'll be a great debate when they're both screaming at each other. But then, she's going to get under his skin, and he's going to be like, "You killed Vince Foster." And then it's really going to be fantastic. That'll be good
true.
For the country.
The first debate, because she's very good at debates.
Right. Yeah, she has much more experience and everything.
Oh my God!
And,
if she starts pushing his buttons, yeah.
Well, I was thinking today when he goes out again and does the thing about Ted Cruz's father maybe killed JFK, which just to say it is so asinine. But I was like, imagine if Cruz last night, right before Trump's speech, he texted him and he's like, "You don't have the balls to mention me." Trump would have come out and knocked over the teleprompter and done an hour and a half on Ted Cruz.
He did the Johnny Cochran.
Yeah, exactly.
You got mouse balls. You won't mention me today, I bet.
You won't. Right, the F. Lee Bailey. You won't try on the glove. That's right. That's what Cruz should have done last night. If he really wanted to save the party and potentially the country, he should have texted Donald and be like, "Don, if you had any balls, you'd go after me tonight."
If
he probably tried. They probably had to keep Trump's phone away from him so he couldn't get any messages.
There's no question. They hit his phone. Ben Simmons wandered by the TV last night, my son, and his only comment on the convention was, was that guy's orange, and then he walked away, which I thought really summed it up in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
Trump's his own minority. He's a minority of one. He's orange.
That's right.
JackO, we'll talk to you in a week. Thanks for coming on, as always.
Anytime.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks to 5-4 Club. Remember, they will provide you with stylish clothes every month. Go to 5-4 Club before the end of July and use code BS for 50% off your first 2 months. That is $60 for $240 worth of clothing. FIVEFOUR Club.com. Code BS. And thanks to Books.com for reminding me to send gorgeous flowers to my wife this month, which I'm going to do. Books prices start at just $40. No upcharges or extra fees. And free delivery when you register with the Books. Save 20% at Books.com with promo code BILL. That is BOUQS.com, promo code BILL. Don't forget about Cleveland Week on TheRinger.com. It's wrapping up today. Don't forget to check out our other 7 podcast feeds on the Ringer Podcast Network. And don't forget, my new HBO show, Any Given Wednesday, returns on July 27th at 10 p.m. on HBO. We have shows for the next 4 weeks starting next week. Check out our new splash page on HBO Now and HBO Go. That includes every episode and every bonus clip we've done. Enjoy the week.
Anytime y'all want to see me again, rewind this track right here, close your eyes, and picture me rolling.